Hello, everyone. All right. My name is Dr. Bagley. Thank you very much for joining me again. All right. So, today, as you can see by the title, we're going to talk about perfecting the saints. However, I need to give you some backdrop and some insight. One is if you've been following some of the videos that I have, you're probably wondering, why am I teaching you about the table, the altar? Why am I talking about the spiritual things, this, that, and the other? And the answer is, it's really this. We live in a spiritual world. We do not live in a physical world. A spiritual God, let's call it a God, the all, authorized the creation of a spirit, and that spirit was then commissioned inside of a form. This body is just a form. The form that we use to speak, that we use to see, that we use to smell, our senses. But it's much more than that. It is a transportation of this world in the physical sense that there's a heaven and then there is earth. So there is a spiritual and then there is a physical. Okay. The commission that was given to the creation of us is simply to guard this earth as in the context of a prison, because the angels and those who fought the dragon and those who fought in heaven and went against the heaven and God and those that's within God, was cast down to this earth. Why do I say it's a prison for them? Is because it's a separation from their creation of an existence of being in heaven. And so this is a prison for all of those spiritual beings that left earth. left heaven, into earth. And we were created with the idea that we're supposed to guard them or be guards of them. So look at it in the context of a prison. You have guards in the prisons. And our objective is not to control them or, play with them or work with them. It's to guard them. And we're guarding them until the time comes, whenever that time may be, where prison is no longer needed. But until then, if you understand the analogy and if you understand the concept of the battle that we're in and the creation of us to the darkness, we are supposed to be representation of the light. The question then ultimately comes, how do we do that? How do we become the light? We have a purpose. We have a representation of God, the light. And we have an obedience to God, the light. We have servanthood, if you will. Up until the last video of how to get into heaven, I just been giving you nuggets here and there. So the idea is, if you put all of the tools that I was trying to express, the table, the candles, the dates, the God's names, the Lord's Prayer, all of that is just simply to be like Job. You take the tools, you take the Lord's Prayer, you take prayer by itself with the tools, and you do what we call a ritual, which is what everyone does when they go to church, temple, or synagogue. Your objective is to call or bring a God, a Lord, an angel, something out of heaven to protect you from the darkness. Not just you, but also your family and your work. Like Job. But in relating to Job, if you see what Job actually did, how he does, what he does, we know it comes from King Solomon. But at the same time, if you look past Job, you'll see it'll look like what a witch does. And so in context, the battle now between religion, who is the best religion to be in control of the people, that, from Catholics all the way to Muslims to everybody, that's been a battle forever and probably never go away because everyone thinks they're God. Without realizing, we're all, if you are against the darkness, within the operations of God. You may be this direction, you may be this direction, you may be that direction, but it's all the operations of God. So in the context is, now that I've given you the tools, introduce King Solomon, Thoth, witch, and voodoo, and Muslims, and Catholics, and all of that in the tables and the tools within the tables, then I had to introduce to you guys the darkness to the light. Be loved no matter what you do. To the degree. In Psalms 37, starting in verse 27, depart from evil and do good and dwell forevermore. For 28, for the Lord loveth judgment and forsaketh not his saints. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wickedness shall be cut off. So in the context of what I was trying to say in the last couple of videos was, to be the light is to be a saint. By definition, sainthood is lesser than the law of the world. Greater than the law of the world, but lesser than a licensed minister. Okay. So I wanted to now give you the idea that how do you become something of the light? And by definition of what the New Testament or Yeshua and Thoth said, come from darkness to be the light, let your light shine. What does that look like? And so by definition, Judaism in this context is given a definition of what the light means. And ultimately it means to be a saint. You are to be a saint if you are to do absolutely no table, no altar, no circle, none of that. Or raising the dead, casting out sickness and all of that stuff. You're just supposed to be a saint. A good person, a saint. And even if you are supposed to be like Job and you get a table and you do altars and you do sacrifices and you do rituals for the protection of your family and your businesses or your work or however that looks like, You still have to be a saint. Darkness, light. Be a saint. And then even if you decide, I want to go cast out demons or raise the dead, go to the hospitals and heal the sick and all of that, and do what Yeshua and Paul said with the ghost and with the gifts, you still need to be the saint. Okay? So today we're going to learn what a saint is, how a church is supposed to make saints. Let's get into it. In Judaism, tradition, saintless, just to be a saint, is distinguished from holiness, which is part of the Mosaic law, Moses law. Now, when we talk about Moses law in Judaism, we're talking about the 613 laws, not 2 like Yeshua said, and not 10 like Moses himself said, but the collective of them is 613 laws. Saintliness is a divine and lofty type of piety person and a higher morality not bound by law. Okay. So in context, what does this mean? Moses' law, out of the 613 of them, Moses' law says, if you and I are doing business, we're not supposed to cheat one another. Okay, that's the law. I'm not saying that is, but I'm just saying that's the law of Moses that's written within the Torah or Old Testament for those who are Christians. Then the saint is to go above the law, not in the context of authority, but in the context of understanding. What does that mean? Okay. If me and you are doing business, you're doing business with me, and I am not doing business with you. But we're going to do business. A saint understands that when you and I are doing business together, I'm not doing business as a saint. I'm not doing business with you, flesh, you. I'm doing business with God, you. A God, you, is because you were created from God. The soul was created from God, making you a child of God or a son of God, depending on the knowledge. But that's still God, you, in a flesh. So therefore, as a saint, I know what the law says about don't cheat. But I'm not cheating because of the law. I'm not cheating because you are God. And to do something wrong against you is to do something wrong against God. That's the mentality, the morality of a saint. In context, one could look at, where is it? Yes, Luke 6. Let's look at Luke 6 and look at New Testament. Luke 6 and 27, 28, 29, 30. But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies, do good to them which hate you, bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. And unto him that smites thee, hits you, on one cheek offer also the other cheek, and him that taketh away thy cloak, forbid not to take thy coat also. Give to every man that asked of thee, and of him that taketh away thy goods, ask them not again. In the context, a saint is understanding. Let your enemies do good to which who hate you. Why do I want my enemies? Why am I doing good to my enemies? Because a saint knows your enemy is not your enemy. Your enemy is your brother. And because it's your brother, we kind of sort of know that there might be something wrong with my brother to be my enemy, or might be directed by the passengers within my brother, which is or could be darkness. It could be a demon, a devil, something, spirit, darkness, unclean spirit. So to hate my brother who hates me is to hate God. Bless them that curse you. I'm not worried about those who curse me, because like Job, if you get an altar, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying, if you get an altar, if you understand the tools, if you understand everything around it, you understand the circle around it, you understand the prayers of blessings upon you family business, they're going to curse you. And as you got a blessing wall hedge around, they can curse all they want, but instead of going after them, fighting them, no. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that despitefully use you, like a man to a woman to a man. Pray for them. All of what Yeshua in the New Testament is saying, and all of what the Jews in context of its definition, and then if we go back to Psalms 37, depart from evil. If you slap me, here, slap the other one. And do good to them. You're my evil. You hate me. I'm supposed to look at you as evil? No, you're my brother. But within you, there's some evilness in you. But because you done me wrong, I'm not going to go back. I'm going to do good to you because you are still my spiritual brother. Do good for them. Do good and dwell forevermore. Why? Because we know as saints, we know, for the Lord loveth judgment. And as a saint, I've been trying within these videos to get you to try to understand there is darkness while you're living. There is the light while you're living. But when you die, either you're going to the light or you're going to hell. The Lord loveth judgment, and forsaketh not his saints. They are preserved forever. But the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. When they die, they go to hell. And we don't wish that on no one. So there has to be something about what we do as saints to help our brothers who try to say you're my enemy. What do? Pray for them. Where do I go? Go to my altar. Go to prayer. Pray for them. Not to hurt them. Pray for them, that the darkness comes out of them. And if you're not about that, you're just trying to guard your family and your business like Job was and how witches are, then you can be like other witches and you can be like Yeshua and Paul. Go lay hands on them. Go cast that demon out of them. Go heal them from their sickness. Go do good to them. Because we don't know what they're going through, what they have been going through. And we're not saying we don't care about them, but sometimes it's hard enough just to protect our family. But then those who, like me, who don't have a family, go lay hands on them. 9 out of 10 times, the darkness is around on them. And that's what the tools are for. That's what Job is for. King Solomon is for. That's what Yeshua and being a disciple is for. A student to learn how to cast out demons, raise the dead, and so on. That's what Paul is for, to specialize, to get a gift, get the Holy Ghost, and to strap on the armor of God and to go out and wrestle with those things. So everything is pre and given to us. The question is, where do you fit? And regardless of where you fit, like I mentioned so many times before, it doesn't matter. As long as you realize you got to let your light shine, which simply means to be a saint. Okay. Let's go now into how and where am I supposed to learn how to be a saint? Okay. Let's go to Ephesians 4. Let's look at 3 verses, 11, 12, and 13. Okay. And he gave some, and God, this is Paul speaking, God gave some of a group of people. There's a group of people who is lost. There are a group of people who wants some further education, knowledge, and so on. And God will give some apostles, and some of the groups prophets, and some of the groups evangelists, and some prophets, pastors and teachers. The pastor is a teacher. Okay. But it doesn't matter if you are an apostle. It doesn't matter if you're a prophet, evangelist, pastor, teacher. It doesn't matter if what ultimately what this means is you're the head or leader of a group of people who is seeking knowledge. Knowledge of protecting themselves from darkness, their family from darkness, their future from darkness. I'm the leader makes me responsible for you. A saint, by definition, is not responsible of someone else in the context of a leader. We're all supposed to be saints, a higher level than the law. But the leader of those who wants to be a leader of a group of persons, what they have to do is in verse 12, for the perfecting of the saints. Doesn't matter what the leader is. Your job is to perfect the saints. Once you perfect the saints, then for the work of the ministry, we'll continue talking about the ministry later on, and for the edifying of the body of Christ. Christ just simply means anointed one. The body of the anointed ones, plural. Sainthood. Till we all come in the unity of the faith. What is the faith? The faith is resurrection. This is where Thoth comes in, the emerald tablet of Thoth. Resurrection. Of the knowledge of the Son of God. As I'm resurrected, I have the knowledge that I am a son of God because I'm little lesser than God who created me. Unto a perfect man, we are living on this earth. We are supposed to be perfect in the context of being a saint. Let your light shine. Be ye perfect as your Father is perfect, Yeshua said. Unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. What are you going to be judged upon? The measure and the stature of the fullness, the absolute fullness of what it means to be anointed. Your purpose. Are you a master in your purpose? Anointed, it just simply means master of your purpose. Don't look at Christ as anointed, meaning spiritual. No, anointed is whatever God gives you and the gifts that you may want and the ghosts that you may receive. You put all that together, whatever it is, from running a business to being and raising the dead, whatever it is, you're going to be measured to the fact of this: anointed one in your profession. So, if there are leaders out there, and I suspect there are a lot of leaders out there, ask yourself, do you have the perfecting of being a saint? Are you still, let's look at Psalms 37. Are you still doing evil and believing that we're not perfect? No one is perfect. That's the darkness speaking. Let's go back to Ephesians 4. For the perfecting of saints, unto the perfect man. If you love God, you're going to be a saint. If you don't love God, you're going to be part of the evilness. If you're part of the evilness, there are those who are supposed to, works of the ministry, cast those evilness out, or at least help you get from this, what's stopping you, so you can become a saint. So then when and before you die, you can be a perfect man, A measurement is going to be given on the fullness of Christ. You knowing before you die, you're going to be a son of God with that knowledge. And that resurrection then will allow you to go to the light. Anything outside of this, contrary to your belief, anything outside of this, as far as the congregation goes, there is nothing outside of this. Now, when it comes to the leaders, that's a totally different circumstances and situation and requirements. And their judgment, the leader's judgment, is totally different. And we'll get into the leader's judgment later when we talk about the work of ministry, because I want all of us to have a clear understanding of the real ministry. Okay? But either way, being a saint is a prerequisite of understanding that you are going down the right path to God. So in context, and let's just go through it as a review. In context, Luke 6 is a very good part to read and to judge yourself. Do you love your enemies? Are you doing good to your enemies who hate you? Are you blessing those who curse you? Are you praying for those who despitefully use you? Are you turning a cheek? Are you taking away, if somebody takes away your cloth, are you also giving them your coat? If anybody asks anything of you, are you giving it to them? And him that taketh away the goods, stealing from you, don't ask for it back. Why? Psalms 37. As long as we depart from evil. And I know it's kind of hard while we're still living, but our job is not to defend ourselves. Our job is to protect our family, our business, our work, protect our people, help people. That's our job, to do that, to stay focused on helping people, loving people. And if we can do that, if we can depart from evil, and we can do good and dwell forevermore, we know the Lord loveth judgment. And it's not like we're hoping for judgment to come upon them to get them back. Vengeance is mine kind of thing. No, that is our brother in that body. Do you really want them to go to hell? And if you answer yes, you're not ready. Don't say nothing out loud. But do you really want them to go to hell? No. You want your brothers to go to the light. Protect your family like King Solomon instructs us to do. For those of you who want to go out and do the battle, follow Yeshua, carry your cross. Those of you who are specialty beyond carrying a cross, go like Paul, get a gift, get a ghost, do the work. Either way, our Lord is going to not forsake us, saints. He is going to preserve us forevermore. But to the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. Now, if they don't get into the light, they're going to hell. All right? Okay. So hopefully we got some ideas. Down below, I will, if you're on YouTube, I will link some links to the 613 commandments. There are also other commandments if you're a Muslim. So yeah, I'll link whatever I can down below. But the point is, get to know the commandments and then get to know a higher level of those commandments, because ultimately you're trying to become the light and you're trying to let your light shine. Okay? I know there are times to do battles, but that's not for you. Or maybe it is. That's for Yeshua and Paul. We'll get into that when we talk about the ministry. All right, guys. Thank you very much for your time. I hope everything is okay. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, get in contact with me. And if not, we'll talk very soon. All right. Bye-bye.